You are so OCD about that poster. It's crazy. I don't blame you because I'm also OCD, but it kind of shocks me that you are, Brandon Walker.
Hi, welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast. This episode brought to you, of course, by DraftKings. Hello, DraftKings. Thanks for sponsoring this show, the number one sports book in America. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to go once a week in the off season. Last year we didn't have an off season podcast because we didn't have a podcast yet. We hadn't drafted these two idiots, friends. We hadn't drafted these two guys yet.
Champions, Brandon.
Winner, champion.
Let us not forget.
Luke Lutman, also a champion. The bloodline's there.
Well, yeah, because he allowed himself to be illegally recruited, correct, Liam?
Very true, Brandon. Great memory there.
Hello and welcome to the show. It's the off-season. If you are not familiar with our off-season episodes, they're just as good as the in-season episodes, but they have a lot more bullshit. So go ahead and anticipate some reading Kayce Smith's DMs soon, although not tonight. Go ahead and anticipate. Hell, I might read Big Ev's DMs to see if he gets any dicks sent to him. Who knows? He might. I don't know.
Occasionally. Usually they send me just the taint.
Taint, you've gotten taint by DM before. I've never gotten taint. I don't want taint, and I send that to Ohio's taint. Send that straight to him.
Literally, no one's ever sent me a taint. That was a lie.
Big Ev, it won't be long before you're the second biggest Ohio State fan at Barstool if Tate keeps it up.
Yeah, I'm working on it myself. The boys are trying to shed some pounds in the. All right,
good. Get to work. Let's all get to work. How about we all get to work?
Hey, Brandon, I feel like maybe we should do Brandon Walker's DMs because I know you're a crazy person and you keep your Twitter DMs open, which I mean is truly just bravery on your part. I think that I should read yours.
Well, 90% of what I get are good people and good fans, and I just talk to them and stuff like that, and I like that. I like being open. But the 10% are legitimately need to be in some sort of prison or something, and that's why I usually just put it out so public. Like if somebody sends me something terrible, I'll just tweet their at and say, "Look what this guy sent me," because if you're gonna do that, fuck you. I don't give a shit about you.
That happens sometimes when because and I don't do it as much anymore, but like when I would out people in my Instagram DMs and then no fail, I would get all the men that are like, why are you sending your mob to this man? Like keep his name private. I'm like, I'm sorry. If he's gonna say horrible shit to me, it's going out on the internet.
Yeah. Let me get my notes app up here so we can talk about what I want to talk about today. Big Ev, it's been 9 days. It has been 9 days. Has the feeling worn off yet, or are you getting used to this?
It's just settling in that I get to feel this for at minimum another year. Just I'm the king. I'm a national champion.
No. Let me just stop you. I think it's more like about 8 months. I think it's till August because if you were to like lose to Texas in August, you wouldn't wake up the next day feeling like a national champion.
I mean, it would depend probably on the game. When obviously I want to win every game. But I mean, that'll be a tough game. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I'm feeling like a national champion, and you're the champ, so you ain't the champs no more. That's what they say.
That's what I'm about to say. Like, yes, it would suck, but until somebody else wins that game, it is yours. Like, I know that Brandon, you hated Dave's shtick this season because Michigan won, and like they were not that great. Like he was correct. Like until somebody else wins, you are the national champion. So if I was Ev, I'd feel the same way. I wouldn't stop talking about it until somebody else wins next January.
I'll just go ahead and tell you the truth. Michigan stopped being national champs in like week 3. Nobody was treating Michigan like national champs in week 4 after Texas blew their doors off after like 4 or 5 teams beat them. Nobody was treating them like national champs. It wasn't until they went to Columbus and won that they started getting a modicum of respect back. But that respect might be gone after the events of the last couple of days when we find out their coach is a lying liar. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Also, just finding that out.
We knew it, but now the excuses they're coming up with are just fucking crazy. Yes, Kayce.
I was gonna say, I mean, big coaching news. I like Jim Knowles leaving Ohio State's kind of fucking crazy.
Well, why don't you just slow your fucking roll for a second?
I'm just saying, like, what is that?
Why don't you slow your fucking roll for a second? So we have three pieces of news I want to talk about before we got to our main subject, which is going to be grading our preseason predictions and seeing who was the best and who was the worst and all that. So we'll get to that in a minute. But right now, number one is, how about Jim Knowles? Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator of Ohio State, national champion, got Caleb Downs coming back next year. Certainly loses a good deal, but it's Ohio State. Like, they got talent for days. The defending national championship defensive coordinator, just days after, decides to go to a team that his current team owns in Penn State. Now, I'll say this before I turn it over to Big Ev. Penn State does look like they might follow the model of the last two national champs, where Michigan was right there. They were a playoff team, didn't quite get there, brought the quarterback back. Ohio State didn't quite get back there, changed some things. And now you have Penn State, who was right on the doorstep of playing for a national title. They lost. They bring their quarterback back, bring the running backs back. They bring a lot. Now, they're an exciting roster next year. But why would Jim Knowles, and Blutman, I'm going to give you a chance to say the actual reason. Why would Jim Knowles leave Ohio State and go to Penn State, Big F?
I mean, my opinion or like the story that's out there? Because, I mean...
give me your opinion first over what's happened the last couple of weeks.
The story that's out there is probably correct. Because I think I just can't see another reason why he'd leave. People are talking money. He signed 3 years, $3.1 million a year. I believe at Ohio State last year he was making around $2 and change, I believe, $2. Apparently Ohio State offered him it was like a $500,000+ a year bump, and I think that was just like the initial, hey, we obviously you're hot commodity, give you more money. I don't think money was the issue. I think if the difference was the salary, I think Ohio's he said, hey, Buckeyes, you meet this number, I'm staying. I think they do it no problem. I think there's clearly more to it than that. I think this Oregon story about Day calling him out, him getting really pissed about it, and kind of having an ego war about it, that makes sense to me. That seemed especially what Jim Knowles done for the defense. I give him so much credit for it. I've talked about it a lot. I've tweeted about it. So I don't have this crazy ill will like some other people do. He's from Philly. I get it. I really think it's the ego thing with Day. And
well,
if that's
stop
the case,
there.
that's fine.
Listen to this. Blutman, tell him the reason.
Well, I mean, the story out there is true, but I mean, there's other stuff. So he and Larry Johnson had beef. Then that stuff, there's a lot of friction between Knowles and the rest of the staff. The Day thing is correct after the Oregon game. Knowles actually got to do his thing after that game, and things went pretty well after that, interestingly enough, eh? So a lot of friction there between Knowles and the entire staff. The money thing is his agent tried to do damage control and didn't do a great job of it. He got offered a lot more money than is led on to believe. Ohio State, I'm pretty sure, offered him more money than Penn State offered. I don't think Penn State sent the most money out there. I think it's a better fit for him in his eyes instead of some of the other teams that were offering him. And I just think he wanted to get out of Ohio State. He won a national championship, did a good thing there, gets a new opportunity, a new chance to prove, hey, I really am that guy. I'm going to do this at one great power help win this national championship. I'm going to go do this and help mold Penn State into what is truly a national championship contender. I think he's betting on himself while getting paid more money and while getting out of a dysfunctional relationship that he was just beyond done with. Him and they hate each other.
All right, fair enough. Now they get to go against each other once a year, and we'll see how that works out for everybody. So there's not a whole lot to talk about as far as defensive coordinator. Coordinators are made to go from job to job. That's fine. Only the select few, whatever.
But Brandon, don't you think
hold on, Kayce. Go ahead.
No, I don't know where you were going to go, but I feel like, yes, they take new jobs. This is just a massive fuck you to me. I understand that they won the national championship and that's fine, but to go and I saw Jack Mack talking about the rumors he could go to Oklahoma and different places because of personal relationships. To go to Penn State, who does lose to Ohio State, but to go there, and I know they don't have divisions anymore, but just go directly to a team in your conference that's also in the conversation at the top of the country every year and take less money is just basically I fucking hate you guys so much. I changed this defense. I revitalized the defense in order to get to this point, and now you're gonna tell me what I can and can't do. That to me, and I understand that he's never gonna say it publicly, but that's what that feels like to me. You don't do that unless you're furious.
All right, you're right. They're all fair points, but I've skated around it long enough. I've skirted it long enough. We got to talk about these, this Michigan thing. They have 127 page response, 137 page response. By the way, any team that doesn't do anything wrong, you can tell they didn't do anything wrong by the fact that their response is 137 pages long. That is longer than any book Dave Portnoy has ever read in his entire life. It's 137 pages, and it is just in response to the NCAA. So much going on here, but Kayce, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
I'm going to start with you because you have been the biggest Michigan apologist on this podcast. When it was happening last year, you were like, "Oh no, go blue!" Yada yada yada.
Jack Mack was there with me. Jack Mack and I were.
Well, he's not here.
Okay. All right. Fair.
Anyway, you were just go. None of that matters. None of that matters. Yada yada yada. I'm not here to talk about guilt or innocence or whatever. What I am here to do is talk about Sharon Moore and the excuse he believed that he came up with. The excuse that he had a year to come up with, and he said this when to cover for the deleted text between him and Connor Stallions. He said, "I deleted them because I was just so angry that a guy like that was doing this to our kids, was doing this to our institution. I couldn't stand to look at text from this guy because he was such a bad guy." Kayce, this motherfucker had a year, and that's what he came up with. You had a whole bunch of texts with a guy who was allegedly cheating. That's what people said, allegedly cheating, and you deleted him because it just made your blood boil to even think about it.
So here's what my therapist would say. You don't say but, you say and, because two things can be true. I don't think that the cheating thing was that big of a deal in the long run, because I think every team is cheating, and that is one of the worst excuses I've ever heard. And I know, when you talk about deleting text messages or deleting emails or, Deflategate type of stuff, right? Breaking phones. It's you got to come up with something that a normal average person was going to believe. There is nobody on this planet with a brain that would believe that he just didn't want to see this man's name on his phone. That's what you do when you're mad at a situationship. You block somebody's number because you don't want to see that man pop up on your phone. Not when it's a coach that has all these allegations around the program that you are currently coaching. So do I think it is something that everyone's going to continue to talk about forever and it's never going to actually matter? Yes.
Well,
I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, what are they going to do?
Well, you take it away.
I don't think they'll do that. I truly don't. And Jim Harbaugh is in the NFL now. He can't get in trouble for it anymore.
Let me tell you something about Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore is standing in front of the firing squad that everybody at Michigan put him in front of. There's a gun pointed directly at his head, and it is eventually going to go off, and he will be the scapegoat for this entire thing. So he can take.
No, Brandon.
He got
handed that was going to happen.
He got handed a bad situation, and he's the one left. He's the one sitting there staring it down. But for you to say, "Oh, I just couldn't stand looking at it," Michigan's answer to this thing has changed so many times. First, Harbaugh didn't know. First, he's not going to get suspended. And then it's Stallions acted alone. And then Stallions wasn't on the sideline of Central Michigan. So it's gone bit by bit. And you want to know why I know this could be a big deal, that this isn't just going to be not a big deal? Their response was 137 pages long. 137 pages long. Big Ev, what do you think?
Listen, I've been very clear about the taking it away after the fact. No one really cares about it. It will be a big deal to the institution, if they actually do that. But to me, it just was so obvious that Michigan and Harbaugh and Moore and all these guys are the most full of shit people I've ever seen in my life. I've said it for years. People love this Harbaugh act of this guy, this integrity in his fucking dumbass khakis and his hat, and he's goofy and enthusiastic. He's full of shit. He's a liar. He built this. All the clips are going viral about integrity and people that cheat are horrible. He's a cheater. They're cheaters. They cheat and they got caught. They're so stupid they got caught. That's probably the worst part about it, is because you know what? A lot of people out there cheat, I'm sure. But they're fucking idiots. And Brandon said it perfectly. It took this long to respond. 137 pages of fucking bullshit. I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to take championships away, or I don't know what they're going to do. It's what can you really do after the fact? He's right that Sharon Moore is going to be the scapegoat for this. he's caught in the middle of it. I mean, there's about him with the Central Michigan stuff. And actually, another thing I want to say, I know I'm going all over the place. Ryan Day, also, big winner in this scenario, was vindicated. Michigan started point, it was Ryan Day and his brother. They were the firm that they were the whistleblowers, and they did all this. They had one guy in-house he was the only guy with integrity. They had a guy that said, hey, young kid said, hey, this is cheating. We can't do this. They have a rat, and they said themselves they had a rat in their own program.
And they blamed it on Ryan Day
in their own program, who really was like the main whistleblower. It's just crazy. They're caught red-handed. Clearly, I think it's honestly a much bigger deal than even I thought it was going to be 6 months ago. That after everything that's come out, they're just so it's so clear cut. They're trying to beat around the bush with the way they're addressing it, but it's just so clear they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and they're cheaters and liars and scumbags. And I hope that they get everything they got coming to them.
Blutman, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of this. I don't really care, honestly. It's boring to me now. I'm ready for the punishment to be brought to the table already.
Oh, we're years away from that.
Yeah, so I'm just bored of these 137-page response. Cool. I'm not going to read the millions of words in that. It's just this isn't entertaining to me until there's actually, I don't know, the punishment is brought to the table. All this stuff that's going to come out every few months. I don't care. I'm not going to act like I care. I'd like to thank our fans for giving us some super chats over on the YouTubes. That means more to me.
Shout out the super chats
on the YouTubes.
Yep, we can say that now.
Brandon, I do have a question for you, and I know I've asked you this along the way. And yes, I would take a Connor Stallions at my school 10 out of 10. Ev, you said it perfectly. Getting caught, the worst part. At the end of the day, the worst thing that they could do, because Jim Harbaugh is gone, and obviously it's a new regime, and they say Sharon Moore does become the scapegoat, whatever. The worst thing they can do is potentially take away the national championship, right? I think that's what I just don't see a world where outside of Ohio State and maybe Penn State and Michigan State, that down the road, any of us are going to sit here and be like, Michigan didn't win the national title in the 2023 season. Don't see that world happening. Because and I understand it's different than the Reggie Bush stuff. It's different than, all the different punishments we've seen throughout the years. But there's never been one time where I've never been Reggie Bush won that Heisman or didn't win that Heisman. And so I just see it the same way. They won the national championship. If they were going to do something about it to where they could stop that, they needed to do that in the middle of the season, not just suspending Jim Harbaugh for the games that they did. They won the national championship.
Louisville basketball won the national title in 2013, and that is a gigantic black eye for that institution. And every time we talk about the 2013 national champs, we say, yeah, but it got taken away. And I don't think they did anything as bad as what Michigan did. So, if it gets taken away, that is an embarrassment. That is a black eye. That is, they're going to have to clean house. There's a lot that will come out of this if they were in fact to do that. I don't think
the establishment. The establishment will be embarrassed, but from a college football fan standpoint, and maybe I'm being biased here. I don't know. I just don't ever see myself being they didn't win it. They won it, and there was all this scandal around it, but they still won it.
Yeah, but you're saying it in a very binary way. Did they win it or not? The answer will always be, yeah, they won it, but even they say they cheated. So there's levels to it.
I agree.
And I think honestly, what could arguably be worse, long term, is a postseason ban, which honestly could be more likely than the title getting stripped altogether. But a postseason ban, especially in a 12-team playoff, would really hurt, especially if it's multiple years. If a team like Michigan, who in theory they want to compete for a national title every year, you're just punting a season or multiple seasons when you have Ohio States and all these massive schools that are coming for it every year. Especially the conference is getting more difficult, bigger. That'd be a huge problem for them with recruiting, with everything. So a postseason ban would be massive.
I also think a postseason ban down the line, because Brandon said, I think we're years away. A postseason ban for kids and coaches and staff members that had nothing to do with that is bullshit.
I hate that idea. I fucking hate that idea. I hate it.
My idea?
No, yeah, I hate what you just said because a lot of people say, "Why are you punishing the kids that weren't even a part of it?" Because the fucking school. We're not going to let the school off because some 16-year-old kid was stupid enough to sign with a team that was under investigation. That's
Do you?
I mean, also there's 100 other colleges you can go to.
1,000%. But Jim, if Jim Harbaugh was still there and now the whole staff was there,
you can't get away with it just because everybody leaves like cowards.
Yeah, you have to. It's just part of the nature of the game, and you gotta let things run its course. Like SMU having to fight back all those years and scratch and claw to be able to get there. That's part of the punishment. You just gotta deal with it. And the other kids end up going to that school. Like it's what you signed up for. You're going there to try and fix the problem.
Fuck them kids.
I do think that if you know that's coming and you still sign at Michigan or SMU or any Louisville basketball, then yes. But if you are signing with Michigan, let's say next year, the year after, and then all of a sudden you're there and they're like, by the way, you have a postseason ban for the next 3 years. They should just be, okay, fine. We can all leave. Because I understand.
It's a different world now anyway. You can just leave anyway. It's not like it used to be. And Bryce Underwood, all he would do is just go to LSU, which is where he wanted to go in the first place before Dave Portnoy had a big brother step in and actually pay the man. Anyway, have you seen do an ad, Kayce?
Huel, Brandon, Huel, because you know what's never going to get punished? Being healthy. And that's what we're all trying to do. I know that the Chicago office now has the new gym. People are out there trying to lose some weight, trying to get healthier in 2025. And Huel, and if you're watching this on YouTube or watching the video, I have the daily greens right now. And it's changed my whole morning regimen. I've always been a green juice fan, but this one has 91 vitamins, minerals. It has super greens, fruit complex, mushroom blend, probiotics, antioxidants, everything, just one scoop in the water, and you're good for the rest of the day. But they also have all the protein. Their Black Edition ready to drink is a complete meal in a bottle. It's high in protein, low in sugar, and packed with all the nutrients you need to perform at your best. It's a perfectly balanced meal, and it takes the guesswork out of healthy eating. I know we have Huel all over the Chicago office. Brandon, you have a
fridge.
Yeah, you have a fridge now. I have the powder, the Black Edition powder at my apartment. So it really has just absolutely changed the game for us. It's affordable, it's budget friendly, and it's high protein meals, just under $5. And again, if you're somebody that doesn't want to have to track your fruits and vegetables every day, I'm telling you, these essential greens will absolutely change the game. Get 15% off plus a free gift for all new customers with code UR15 at Huel.com. Start your year off strong with Huel. It's nutritionally complete meals in just minutes. You can focus on what really matters. Again, that's 15% off with a free gift for new customers. Also, I will mention they come with scoops. So you don't even have to guess that. It's idiot proof for people like me. Again, it's HUEL.com, UR15. Do it.
All right, I'd like to talk about the draft odds for the number one pick in this NFL draft. Now, that's technically an NFL topic, but it is the college football players we just watched play, and they are changing pretty dramatically so far. And I'd like to see where they go. But, when we opened this process probably right after the season, Shedeur Sanders was the odds-on favorite to go number one. That is no more. He has kind of fallen off, and he's now 8-1 to go as the number one pick. And Big Ev, I'm not going to sit here and say I told you so, but I don't think he's a number one type guy. And if you have the third, you guys got 3 or 4?
3. Johnson.
You're going to have right of refusal on him. He's going to be sitting there at 3. So
Probably.
I don't know if you're going to pick him. But I think you're going to have right of refusal on him. Cam Ward, when I saw Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders play this year, I felt like Cam Ward is way closer to being what I think a number one pick is than Shedeur was. Cam Ward reminds me of the impact Jaden Daniels had this year in Washington. I think Cam Ward is capable of that. I don't know that Shedeur is. I think he can grow into one, but not year one. Anyway, your odds-on favorites right now, Cam Ward is basically even to go number one. The guy who's not shot up draft boards, he's always near the top, but the guy who's shot up the odds to be the number one pick, do you know who it is, Liam? Abdul Carter, the defensive end edge rusher from Penn State, is now second at plus 180. Travis Hunter, third, the Heisman Trophy winner, at plus 250. Shedeur is fourth, and then it's a huge, huge drop-off after that. But anyway, interesting that Cam Ward and now looks like – and this is all pre-combine, this is all pre-workouts and everything. It looks like Cam Ward has taken the spot as possibly the first quarterback taken off the board here. Thoughts, Big F?
Kim's okay. I I like Shedeur better. I've said as like an NFL quarterback. I've said that. I just think he hits the ball too long at times. I'd say that's his problem. I get like he doesn't have the physical attributes that Cam Ward has, like just the rocket, the big arm. He's not quite as like athletic as Cam Ward is. I don't know. I just think Shedeur is really accurate. I think he like reads defenses better. I think he reacts a little faster to things in terms of like his like processing. I'm just not the biggest Ward guy. I love Abdul Carter. I think he's the best. I think he's the best player. Like if I wanted the best football player, that's who I take. I even said like the Giants. Obviously, I'm a Giants fan. We have Brian Burns. We have Thibodeau. I'd still take him. He's just that good. I think he's. I mean, you see even what he's done, like making the move from like a true like a linebacker to an edge rusher, dominant. Yeah. I mean, you see him in the Notre Dame game. I mean, he's out there with one fucking arm, just dominating their DNs when he can even be on the field. I mean, I think the guy's an unbelievable player. Like he's a grinder and he's a freak. I think he's the guy. Travis Hunter too, obviously. I think him and Travis Hunter are just like just don't think, just throw. Like don't think, just take one of those guys and he'll probably be okay at the top. If you
this is where you and I disagree. You and I disagree on one. I like Cam Ward way better than I like Shedeur Sanders. I think Cam Ward has the ability to be a big-time NFL quarterback, and I don't see it with Shedeur. Kayce, break the tie on that.
I mean, I think you can't go wrong with either one. But Brandon, your point about Jaden Daniels, like I can absolutely see that point with Cam Ward. I think that once Shedeur gets with like an NFL offensive line, and like he does hold on to the ball for a long time. There was also a lot of offensive line issues at Colorado and at Jackson State when he was there. But I do think both of these guys, like I don't think it's one or the other. Like I know you said that you think Cam Ward's way better, and Ev, you said you would still take Shedeur. Like I think that they're both great options. It just depends on the situation. But I would lean Shedeur just because I do think that he looks like more of a pro quarterback. But I don't think either one's bad. I think Abdul Carter is unreal. And Ev, we were all watching the game together. Like the fact that man had half a body and was still able to disrupt the way he was able to is incredible. And then of course we all know how I feel about Travis Hunter. I don't think you can go wrong. I still would take Shedeur, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody took Cam either. All
right. Well, Liam, she failed miserably in breaking the tie because she just likes everybody.
No, I said Shedeur.
Okay.
But I don't like you said there's a massive difference between the two of them, and I don't think that there is.
In my eyes.
That's what I'm saying is like the pros that Shedeur has, like don't far outweigh the pros that Cam has and vice versa with cons. Like I think that you can find either one. I personally like Shedeur as a quarterback better at the next level.
Weigh in, Blutman. Shedeur or Cam Ward in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, trying to find a good quarterback in this class, like at the top, is like walking into the ocean and just going and going and going and going and going and praying that you could find something. I am not touching either of those guys at the top of the draft. I have zero interest. Again, I've said for a month plus, the one quarterback I'd want to take, value-wise and everything considered, is Kyle McCord in the third round. I'm not thinking twice about it. The first pick should be Travis Hunter. There's now prospect fatigue on Travis Hunter for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on there. I'm not going to stop there.
What? I'm asking you a question about what you just said. I'm helping you.
What?
If I ask you a question, just relax. Let me ask it.
What player?
You just said Travis Hunter should be number one. Make this case for me. If I'm picking number one on the Tennessee Titans, do I pick that man and say, go lock down the best receivers in this league? Do I say, go be a highlight and be the number one receiver in this league? Or do I say, come in and do both? What do I say?
That's what I was getting into. I think I've changed my course. I think you play him as a wide receiver and you give him you let him play corner and defense, maybe nickel in some capacity, and you figure things out there. But I think the more and more tape and more just plays that we've seen from Travis Hunter, it's evident he's just a special, gifted, different type of athlete that you want. Like you want those ball skills offensively. You want to find ways to get him the rock and create mismatches on offense. You don't. I think he's kind of wasted in a sense defensively. I think you could expose him more. I take him offensively, and you still use him as a two-way weapon. You figure things out. You get a unicorn type of talent, and you get him in your franchise, in your house, and you say, all right, let's build. Let's figure something out. Let's figure out the best ways to make this a success for both parties here. Abdul Carter is the second guy I would pick. I think he's tremendous. I think he's going to hit at the next level big time. And then like Shedeur and Cam Ward, just personally, I can't really speak for Shedeur here. I think Cam Ward's going to fail miserably in the pre-draft process. I don't think he's going to vibe with front offices, coaches, scouts at all. There's a lot of disconnect there already. So I'm not in on him at all. We'll see what happens with Shador. I guess I'm excited to talk draft the rest of the draft process, though. I didn't know we were doing this on this show.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's interesting that as the draft odds change, we're still talking about college football players. We're still talking about guys who we just saw. And I'll disagree with you as well. Because I look at him as the number one pick. I'm investing number one pick in him. I think his ceiling is higher as a cornerback. I think as growing into a lockdown guy in the NFL, I think that's more valuable than what he's going to bring. I don't see him being number one pick worthy as a receiver. I see him being number one pick worthy as a cornerback. That maybe my eyes are wrong. I don't know. That's what I see. Anyway,
building around him though, like Liam said, like he is like, I mean, regardless if you think he should have won the Heisman or not, like he is a unicorn type player. And so if you are a team like the Titans who desperately needs just anything to revitalize that team and that fan base right now, like why not just bring somebody like him in and say, let's fucking see, because you can do both. But Brandon, I do think that you owe me an apology because you said I failed miserably. Liam talked about going out into the ocean and basically drowning to break your
so
time.
no, what he said, Blumman, I did want to mention this. I don't understand why the ocean came in there, because what you said was it's like walking into the ocean and going and going and going and going and not finding anything. Well, why'd you be in the ocean and not find anything? You could have been anywhere and not found anything.
I don't know, man. It was just what came to mind. At first, it was like anthills and looking for gold. I don't know. It's just what came to my brain.
All right, next time use the anthills looking for gold. I think there's some possibility there.
No, I don't like that. No, please don't use that, please.
Oh, she doesn't like answer bees.
No, stop.
I said you don't like them. All right. Read an ad, Kayce.
I also want to say, as the guy,
don't read an ad yet, Kayce. Big F's talking.
As the guy in the room who's the NFL team as a top 3 pick needs a quarterback, I think I'm getting more and more towards Blutman in the sense of like I've been very high in Shador. I still really like Shador. As like a Giants fan, I'm the closer we get to the draft, the more I feel like I'd be very content with just taking Carter or Hunter and just waiting.
Yeah, but the situation is at number 3, it might go Carter, Hunter, Carter, and then you're sitting there looking at the quarterbacks.
But the only thing is, I mean, the Titans and Browns both need one really bad. So I mean, if they both pass and they kind of like force our hand, then I guess like, listen, if we take Shador, I'll be happy. I'm not a Ward guy personally, but also our schedule is brutal next year. I'm all in on taking for Arch, but that's NFL stuff. But take for Arch, Giants.
Kayce, read that.
Well, we got a very exciting text message from Ev yesterday because we've got a new friend that's back again. I guess an old friend that's back again. New year, Factor. Brandon, I don't know how many years it's been that Factor's been a part of this podcast, but when Ev sends that link and says, hey guys, Factor's back, fill out this information, I was so excited because Factor, it changes the like outlook on eating healthy. I know I talked earlier about like just like protein and like this, like Factor has so many different options. They're ready in 2 minutes. They're fresh. They're never frozen. So it's not just like, a protein in a health situation, which we love Huel for that, but Factor, it's all the meals you could possibly want, Brandon. You can go in, you can change the menu every single week. There's keto, there's vegan, there's protein plus, there's all the different options, and they're dietitian approved. And like I said, they're ready to eat in just 2 minutes. They're never frozen. So they come to your door, your building, your house, your condo, whatever it is. And you can lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor keto meals. It's, if you don't want to have to select your menu every week, they can do it for you. But there's 40 different options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week. They have Calorie Smart too. They have breakfast. They have lunch. They have dinner. They have snacks. They have desserts. So reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that cannot be beat. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/roughness50 off and use the code roughness50 off and you get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code roughness50 off at factormeals.com/roughness50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. I just want to say we're a healthy podcast this year, fellas. Like we're rolling it out for the people. We're giving you money off to get your life right, get your life easier because Factor does it in just 2 minutes. Do it. We love Factor.
All right. Boys up top, this is your first time going to the principal's office.
This is fun.
But we do our predictions for every conference. See you, Kayce. We do our predictions for every conference at the beginning of the season, and we don't just do them and forget about them. We come back, we hand out grades, and we find out who the best was for that particular conference this year. I know last year, I think Kayce won 2 conferences out of the 4. I had the best individual conference because I think I hit the Pac-12 exactly right, almost all the way down the line, but that conference doesn't exist anymore. So we start with the Big 12 this year.
I got to tell you, boys, Big 12
this one's
bad.
rough.
This one is rough.
Yeah. Should I start somewhere else? Because this one's bad.
I mean, listen.
Let's just let's tear the Band-Aid off right now.
Dive into the deep end because we sucked dick at this.
The categories, Big F, you're going to just shut up.
Speak for yourselves.
No, yours isn't great. It's just the best of a bad lot.
I had a few real good picks in there.
Yeah, a couple decent ones, but just slow down, Big F. Don't grade yourself. Stop grading yourself.
And this is also, Brandon, this is going to be quite, I'm very excited to see your skill set here because, we are live, so it's different. We normally have them pop up on the screen. So your descriptive skills are about to be tested.
All right. So in the Big 12 preview this year, we all chose a champion, a title game, a player of the year, a coach of the year, a disappointing team, a surprise team, and a worst team. I don't think, should I do wild card team? Because that meaning is so ambiguous. It's so like, it can be whatever you want it to be. So there's no way to prove it if it were true or not. Anyway, for champion, I chose the Kansas State Wildcats. Kayce Smith, Big Ev, and Liam Blutman all chose the Utah Utes.
Barf.
None of us were right. I would say I was closer than all of you.
Correct.
Is that fair?
Sure.
Don't even make that face, Big Ev. Obviously, I was closer.
Well, there was a material change.
In what?
Cam Rising. He died.
He always gets hurt. That don't count. He's 22 years old.
I mean, Ev, you're right, but
No, I mean, Kansas State was a better team, sure.
They were in the mix much
They're better than Utah, for sure.
All right, Big Ev, the cheese is about to slide off the cracker for me, so don't worry about it. Our title games in the Big 12. My title game was Kansas State against Oklahoma State. Oh.
The toilet bowl.
Kayce's was Utah against Kansas State. Big Ev, he throws a punch here. Utah against Iowa State. So the first one that's a little right. He's got half his championship game is right. And Liam also Utah and Kansas State. Player of the year. Oh,
rough.
I have Ollie Gordon. Oh! Oh! Now, listen, in fairness, that wasn't a crazy thing to say at the time. But it didn't.
Not at all. Not at all.
Anyway, Kayce and Big Ev both said Cam Rising. Like
Horrible.
He just said, material change,
He
but
died. He
bad
passed away.
pick. Yeah, bad pick, though. And is this right?
Yeah, this doesn't even get a P for participation.
He lost the running back job.
He lost the run. He had 2 touchdowns this season.
He
Liam
lost to
Blutman,
Hansen.
Player of the year in the Big 12 was Asu Sama III.
Abu Sama III, yeah. There was a material change, though.
I need glasses.
Running back change.
Are these glasses?
Yeah, we're real bad. Actually, let's switch this. Real bad on all of us for not just picking Travis.
Yeah, I mean, that was stupid. And honestly,
I think these are sunglasses.
Those are sunglasses.
Well, they're not glasses. They didn't help at all.
Well, they're not sunglasses either. You can see through them.
You look like the dad from Up, though.
You do.
All right. So let's just say nobody won Player of the Year.
Fair.
Can we all agree? Okay.
Yeah.
Coach of the Year. I had Chris Kleiman, Kansas State. Kayce had Kyle Whittingham of Utah.
Barf.
Blutman had Kyle Whittingham of Utah. Big Ev had Matt Campbell of Iowa State. Probably didn't win it. I think probably Dillingham won it.
Dillingham
Not
had to
Dillingham.
win.
Yeah, Dillingham I'm sure won it. But still, Matt Campbell was a great pick, and there's no shame in picking Matt Campbell. That was so. Big Ev has taken the lead on the Big 12. Disappointing team. Now this week, I think might be a 4-way tie for first. I had UCF as my disappointing team. They were remarkably disappointing. Does nobody agree with that? They were
Really
awful.
bad.
4-way tie, those.
I think I would argue there's two that stand out the most.
No, I think Liam might take it. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Liam, I would give Liam the slight nod.
Yeah.
Arizona was like top 20, and they were horrific.
You're Big M. Who's handing out these grades?
I don't know. You tell me.
I had UCF. Kayce had West Virginia. Big Ev had Arizona. All three disappointing. But Liam had Oklahoma State, who was picked as a possible. They were a top 15 team preseason, and they went 0-9 in the Big 12. They were awful.
They won 3 games.
Yeah. So I think we all understood the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
I think he won.
I would say that the Blutman for sure won, but I would also say that, and I can only speak for myself here, but when all 4 of these teams got announced when we originally did this preseason, we all had fans very mad at us for it. And so we all were technically correct. Like West Virginia fans were fucking furious with me for that. And they're obviously disappointed, but Oklahoma State takes the cake.
Surprise team. I had West Virginia. Kayce had Colorado. But you don't win because Big F and Blutman both had Iowa State.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you get bested a little bit there.
A little bit. I do think that most people looked at the year before and said, "Oh, he only won 4 games." They were in the mix for the Big 12 title game, but I understand. Iowa State takes it, but Colorado was absolutely up there in that category.
Yeah, good pick. Just I think they slightly got you, but I'll hand the Big 12 championship belt to Big F. So that he's up 1-0 over the rest of us.
Congratulations, Ev, because that was a shit show of a conference for us.
We go to the ACC. Kayce, this is going to be close between me and you.
I know.
Anyway, the ACC, the champion. Oh, my God, Blutman.
Yeah, Blutman is just...
I have a DNS here. Did not start. I didn't get out.
Okay. Oh, my God.
Blutman died.
Champions. Brandon and Kayce both had the Clemson Tigers. Kayce, who won the ACC?
The Clemson Tigers.
Big Av had the Miami Hurricane, and Liam Blutman had the Florida State Seminoles.
Material change. There's material change. I didn't know
they sucked.
I didn't know they were going to go to Ireland and like potato flu. I didn't know
that's part of the season.
I didn't know they were getting the potato flu.
I remember when we did this preview episode, by the way, that all 3 of us were trying to explain to Liam like why we thought they would suck so bad was because they had lost every single person on their roster, and he was like, no, it'll be fine. And I just wish I could go back to tell that Blutman that it's not all sunshine and rainbows, because there was a man not eating dog shit this year over this team, Blutman.
Yeah, I thought coaching would be a bit better, to say the least. I thought their development would have been fine, and it wasn't. And there was no effort from a lot of their good players. So tough.
It gets worse for you. Just hold
I trust. I know.
Title game. I had Clemson against Miami. Kayce had Clemson against Miami. I forgot Kayce copied my homework on this.
I did not. How would I? We weren't in the same place.
Big Ev had Miami and NC State. And God bless him. Liam Blutman had Florida State against Virginia Tech. Woo!
Honestly,
of the year.
Hand up, NC State was worse than Virginia Tech.
That was rough.
Again, material change. Grayson McCall, he's a coach now.
Stop saying material change. Some of these guys just sucked.
Material change on Virginia Tech. I didn't know Enter Salmon was losing its luster.
It is not.
Well, apparently it is.
Player of the year. Brandon Walker had Cam Ward. Kayce Smith had Cade Klubnik. Big Ev had Cam Ward. Liam Blutman had Kyron Drones, Virginia Tech.
Boy.
I was swinging for grand slams here.
I'm 3 for 3. Coach of the year. I and Kayce both had Mario Cristobal. Big Ev had Dave Doran for NC State. And Liam had Brent Pry, Virginia Tech. Boy, oh boy. Disappointing team. Kayce and I had Florida State. Big Ev had Clemson, and Liam had Miami. Lutman, thoughts?
I'd say Miami was still disappointing. even
No,
though
no,
they
no,
won.
no.
I
They
would
weren't.
say that Florida State wasn't disappointing and that they were endearing and a cute little fun story.
They were the worst story in college football.
I think trying to say Miami's not a disappointment is actually kind of wild. That team was a massive disappointment for being a 10-win team that couldn't reach the top in this garbage ACC. That's crazy to say Miami.
Surprise team. Go ahead.
Also, I mean, Clemson won the conference. That's what is disappointing of a conference winner as I've ever seen.
They won the conference.
And they were in the playoff.
It wasn't conference champs that are great. It was conference champs.
This is one where I'm kicking myself because I was so anti-Florida State, and I basically zigged because you guys zagged, and I was like, you guys both went Florida State. I was down on both. I'll go Clemson, and it backfired on me for the segment.
I can make an argument that Florida State is one of the most disappointing teams of all time this year. Like,
without question.
Big F. Is Sean running the chat tonight? Because get rid of Wolfgang. He's done the same scoof joke 150 times. Just, I don't want you here. Like, your scoof jokes are fucking stupid. Get rid of them. God almighty. Do that on Mostly Sports Family. I appreciate that. But God damn it, you're stupid.
Somebody beat me to it.
I'm not going to sit here and watch you guys be idiots. Anyway, for worst team, I had the Duke Blue Devils. Kayce had the Stanford Cardinal. Big Ev had the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, and Liam had Virginia. So it's Stanford or Wake Forest, right? Stanford was worse than Wake Forest. No, who was worse? Who finished last in the conference? Stanford?
Well, Florida State. But
they just beat Syracuse.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This is a win for Kayce because I had Duke, and they were not bad. Big Ev had Wake Forest. They were bad. They were below average. Bad. Stanford was garbage, so you win that one. So I'm trying to figure out who wins the whole thing because we basically had the same exact thing. I hit Player of the Year, you didn't. You hit Worst Team, I didn't. So maybe me and you have to split this because
I think in years past we've done 0.5s. Like if it's
we have to do a 0.5 because we have the same champion, we have the same title game. I won Player of the Year. We had the same Coach of the Year. We had the same disappointed team. We had the same surprise team. You won Worst Team.
We can do 0.5. I will say, and I will give you a little bit of credit. Picking Player of the Year is, I would make an argument, probably harder than picking disappointing team.
You're right. I win. Thank you, Kayce. That's one win for me. I appreciate it.
And by the way, I'm only saying that if I don't get a point at all for the Big Ten and the SEC.
You want to reevaluate after
I'd like to reevaluate because if I go over and I don't get any points, and I'm gonna be like, well, no, Brandon, we tied in the ACC.
Bringing it back. Okay. All right. Yes. Fair enough. We go to the Big Ten Conference. Go to the Big Ten. Hold on.
Don't do it.
It barely came out.
Anyway. So gross.
You relax. In the Big Ten. Smells like fart in here. In the Big Ten, I had as champion Ohio State. Big Ev had as champion Ohio State. Kayce had Oregon. Liam had Oregon. Liam might come to play here. No, he's not going to.
I did come to play half the time. What are you talking about?
Liam, you might be good here.
Uh-huh.
God damn it. Okay. Hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's 2 Oregons, 2 Ohio States. Obviously, Oregon won it, but Ohio State was not exactly an embarrassing pick. My title game was Ohio State and Penn State. Give me a half point there. Kayce's was Oregon and Ohio State. Big Ev's was Oregon, Ohio State. Liam's was Oregon, Ohio State. Player of the Year, I had Will Howard. Kayce had Dylan Gabriel. Big Ev had Travion Henderson. Liam had Miller Moss, quarterback for USC.
You take a few swings, sometimes you miss the ball. I'd rather take swings than try and walk.
Sure. Who was the Player of the Year?
Was it just Abdul? I really don't know.
Don't they have an offensive player of the year? Who was the? It was probably Gabriel.
I feel like it was Dylan Gabriel. No,
I don't know.
It was.
It has to be.
Certainly Gabriel.
I would think.
I don't know.
I feel.
Yeah, Abdul and Gabriel.
Okay, so that's a win there for a mini win for Kayce. Coach of the Year. What I was thinking. I had Chip Kelly. I'm sure I came up with a reason.
Coordinator.
You did. I'll give you 0.25 there.
I'm sure I came up with a reason for that, and it was very well said at the time. Kayce had Dan Lanning. Big Ev had Ryan Day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Liam Blutman. He had Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti, all the way back in August. So good for him there. Disappointing team. I had the Michigan Wolverines. Thank you. Kayce had the Iowa Hawkeyes. Big Ev had the Wisconsin Badgers, also a very disappointing team. And Liam, had the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Yep. I won't use the same rationale as Miami, but I'm not going to call this Penn State season a success. Just another season for them. Same disappointing ending.
They certainly weren't disappointing.
Same disappointing ending.
No.
Brandon, I will say, yes, disappointing. But I don't know if Michigan fans would say they're the most disappointing team because they beat Iowa State. Now, it doesn't matter because Ohio State won the national championship, but having that makes them not as disappointing.
If they say that, they are
they say that.
the most pathetic group of people I've ever seen.
They say that.
If they weren't disappointed with a 7-5 season because they beat Ohio State, they're pathetic. Coming off a national title, they're fucking pathetic.
Have we not all realized by now that they're pathetic?
Surprise team, I had Rutgers. I'll just see myself out this way. They weren't bad, though. They weren't bad.
You're okay.
Kayce and Big Ev had Nebraska. You guys can come sit next to me.
Yeah.
And Blutman had the Indiana Hoosiers. And worst team, I had the UCLA Bruins. And the rest of you all had the Purdue Boilermakers, which is correct, right? Was there somebody worse than Purdue? Purdue was the worst, right?
No, Purdue was
won one game.
Purdue was horrible.
Judging this overall, Blutman, I kind of want to give it to you. You nailed – your hits were so good and your misses were so bad.
Yeah, I know, and we haven't even talked about my wild card is maybe the biggest wild card in all college football.
Yeah, season. But everybody's wild card was wild.
Yeah, but there was no bigger wild card than USC.
I would vote for Blutman.
Let's go through this. Kayce and Blutman both hit the champ. Kayce and Blutman had the same championship game. Kayce had Dylan Gabriel. He had Miller Moss.
Come on, guys.
Sometimes you miss.
Coach of the year. Coach of the year. Kayce had Dan Lanning. Curt Cignetti had Blutman had Curt Cignetti. We're even right now. We're dead even, I think. He won Coach of the Year. She won Player of the Year, and they had the same title game. So we're even. Disappointing team. She had Iowa. He had Penn State. She has pulled ahead. Even though Iowa wasn't like all that disappointing, but she has pulled ahead. Surprise team. She had Nebraska. He had Indiana. It's even again. Worst team, Purdue. They both had Purdue. So
that is an actual 0.5.
I think you know what? Big Ev has a win. I have a 0.5. Blutman has a 0.5. Kayce has 2.5s. So it's tied at 1. Is that fair?
The only reason I guess I said for Blutman was that I think the surprise Indiana team was such a big hit that to me that was like the biggest hit on the entire board. That was my thought process initially.
But the disappointing team being Penn State, also
see Kayce. I think if your disappointing was, or excuse me, so your disappointing was just like if I was like a hair more disappointing, I think it would you would in my head you would have it. Penn State.
So it all comes down to the SEC. Big Ev has 1. Kayce has 1. Me and Blutman both have 0.5. So whoever wins, if somebody wins this outright, they win. Correct?
Correct. Blutman, are you not happy with us splitting that 0.5?
No, it's all fine. I'm just happy to be here. I am starting to disagree with this narrative that if you win 10 games, you can't have a disappointing season, though. Penn State certainly did not have a successful season.
If we're
I would say them and Iowa would be on the same.
They finished in the Final Four. And then, Blutman, if we're sitting there in August and I say Penn State goes 10-2, plays for a conference championship, and is in the Final Four, that is absolutely not a disappointing season.
I gotta fight you. I gotta throw haymakers. I can't just
obviously they were
stand here and take blows.
Obviously, they were disappointed to lose to Notre Dame, but there's a difference in getting there and doing that and being what fucking the other disappointing teams were, what Oklahoma State was.
I will say this outside of Ev, because Ev actually, just won a national title, that if you put on the table Final Four, play for a conference title for Mississippi State, UCLA, or A&M, we're all
I'd suck 75 dicks for that.
That's not disappointing. I'd sign up for that 10 out of 10.
It's just same old season for Penn State. They
never make the
big
playoff.
game, but I got to the Final Four. Sure, I'm more so keen on the Miami one that you guys were saying that they weren't disappointing. That to me, I was like, whoa, what the heck?
I don't think they were disappointing. I think it was ultimately a disappointment.
The ACC was so bad they couldn't even make the conference championship in the ACC.
They were 6-6 the year before.
Units in all college football.
They went from being an also-ran garbage-ass team to being in the playoff conversation up until the last week of the season. It was disappointing.
I know.
Their defense was disappointing. Their defense was disappointing.
All right. Comes down to this.
Okay.
The SEC. Kayce, do we have another ad?
We do. DraftKings, Brandon. So, of course, the big game is coming up. RIP college football, we'll see in a little bit, but it doesn't matter because we've got baseball coming up. We've got basketball in full swing right now. We've got hockey. We've got it all. And if you're a newbie, maybe you're turning of legal age in 2025 and you have never gambled with DraftKings, bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, regardless if that bet wins or loses. Use promo code RUFF. The crown is yours. We love DraftKings. They've got all kinds of things up there for the big game right now, the Super Bowl. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but I'm saying it. Go to DraftKings right now, download it. You can go look at the Barstool Personalities betting group. You can see what we all are betting on. And again, $5 gets you $200 in bonus bets instantly.
I've looked ahead and I think I know the winner. In the SEC, my champion was Georgia. Kayce's champion was Georgia. Big Ev went with Georgia. Blutman went with Georgia. Title game, I had Tennessee against Georgia. Kayce had Texas against Georgia. Big Ev had Ole Miss against Georgia. Liam had Alabama against Georgia. So no real, I guess Kayce's kind of got a slight lead because she got her championship game right. Player of the year, I had Carson Beck. Kayce had Carson Beck. Big Ev had Jackson Dart. Liam had James Pierce from Tennessee. I don't think any of these players won the award, but I would say, based on what I saw this season, that's a win for Big Ev, picking Jackson Dart over Carson Beck and James Pierce. James Pierce was fine, but do we all agree that that's a win for Big Ev with Jackson Dart?
Yes.
All right. Coach of the year, I had Josh Heupel. Kayce had Steve Sarkisian. Big Ev had Lane Kiffin. Liam had Kalen DeBoer. I'm torn on this one.
I'd vote for Kayce.
I think
you would.
Sark.
I think Sark. Of the four options, I think Sark is the guy.
Who would you
Sark had a more loaded gun, that's all. But if you
There.
vote for it was either you or Kayce. So if you're voting for Kayce, then it's got to be Kayce.
I just think, them making, I guess it's tough because Ole Miss played such a tougher schedule, but they also lost to, their losses were not great, obviously.
Ole Miss blew it.
They had better wins.
Like Ole Miss had the playoff in front of them twice and lost it. Like, don't lose to Kentucky.
I'll take a split there. You want to give me a split? I'll take it.
No, you voted. I'll give it to Kayce.
Sark made
You're about to make it up here.
Yeah, no, but Sark also, regardless of it being my pick or not, Sark made the conference title game and in the playoff the first year for Texas in the SEC. Lane dicked around twice and lost it. So whatever.
Disappointing team. I had LSU. Kayce had LSU. Big Ev had Oklahoma. Liam had Missouri. I think this is a win for Big Ev.
Yes, I would agree with that.
LSU was disappointing, based on but I don't think they certainly weren't as bad as Oklahoma was. And Missouri's a weird one where they went 9-3, but they were never actually taken seriously as a football team. So I could argue Missouri was also a little disappointing based on their expectations, but OU is definitely the clear winner here. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Surprise team. I had Florida. Kayce had Alabama, which remains the worst pick in the history of this show.
Surprising they didn't make the playoff?
That wasn't your rationale at the time, and you know it. Big Ev had Texas A&M, and Liam had Oklahoma. Obviously, Oklahoma didn't rise to the level. I'm gonna stuff for myself and say it might be Florida. I think Florida might be the answer here. Over A&M. A&M went 8-4 at the end of the day. I know there was a time where they were ranked in the top 10. They went 8-4. We kind of expect them to go 8-4. Florida had the toughest schedule in the world. It looked like they were about to fire their coach, and they ended up going 7-5, beating LSU, beating Ole Miss.
I will say though, A&M doing it, going down to the game, losing to Texas, like still being in the race for the SEC championship in the first year of Mike Elko is pretty good. Like surprising.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Last week of the year they were playing for a conference title berth.
Right. I will and
that was a little smoke and mirrors, wasn't it? I mean,
the problem is that the 8-4 joke is like the quintessential A&M joke. Like you go 8-4 every year, so like that's not necessarily surprising. I do think it was surprising that on Thanksgiving weekend they could still go to Atlanta.
I think A&M's schedule put them in position to be in really meaningful games in November, and then they lost them all. They lost to Auburn. I mean, like,
well, I got to bring up old shit.
I think I can make a case that Florida was a better surprise team than A&M.
Florida was a surprise team because they looked like they were dead, done, just absolutely down horrible, and they like rebounded throughout the season. But they did also get their dicks kicked into Texas. So I don't know. Liam, you pick.
I think it's Florida. And I think when you were talking about A&M there, Brand, it was very walking a fine line between me and the Miami thing too, which was interesting. But yeah, I think it's Florida, and that Florida people thought might come out this brutal schedule, winning maybe 5 games. I think their win total was 4.5 or 5.5, whatever it was. Florida rose to the occasion in more ways than one, picked up a decent amount of surprising wins, and they just kept the ball rolling and got better and better. And Napier was on the hot seat. He kept his job, and I mean, they did through injury, and Lagway had play, and he was hurt too at times. I think it's Florida, and I think they were very surprising and a good, successful season for them.
Announcement. My sushi is here, so we got to wrap this up very close.
Ooh,
very
sushi.
Do we have any more advertisements?
No, we don't.
Okay. Yeah,
Fancy
sushi.
boy over there.
Mm-hmm. I found a good place in Gurney. Anyway, worst team. Kayce. You know what? We actually didn't do a worst team for the SEC.
Ed wins this one, boys.
All right, Kayce, and Blutman all had Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Slept on Diego Pavia, man. Believed in him day one. Day one when no one else did. This guy did.
Big Ev wins this round. He had the right worst team. So to me, it comes down. Huh?
Who would I pick? I forgot. I can't see the graphic.
It's in your text message. Okay.
He picked the Mississippi Bulldogs.
I can't see. My phone's broken, Brandon.
Hail State.
Kayce, I can't hear you. Brandon has to say it.
You picked Mississippi State, all right? You picked Mississippi State.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right.
All right. So it comes down to me, in my opinion, it comes down to Kayce and Big Ev. So let's weigh them against each other. They both had the same champ. Who didn't win it? Kayce had the title game of Georgia and Texas. Big Ev had Georgia and Ole Miss. Not an egregious miss by Big Ev by any stretch of the imagination. Player of the year, Kayce had Carson Beck. He had Jackson Dart. I think we're dead even right now. She had Steve Sarkisian as coach of the year. He had Lane Kiffin. So Kayce nudges ahead. Disappointing team. She had LSU. He had Oklahoma. I think it's dead even again. Surprise team. He had A&M. Oh, and you know what? It's not even close anymore.
No.
I think he had A&M. You had Alabama. He's ahead. And worst team, you had Vanderbilt. He had Mississippi State. And the winner of this year's grades for preseason picks, his first time on the podcast, national champion, Big Ev. Big Ev wins the Big 12. He wins the SEC. The rest of us split the other two conferences amongst us. Congratulations, Big Ev.
Congratulations.
Baltimore University. Sign up.
The man knows ball. That's why he's here. That's why the man is here.
He knows ball, and he everybody wants to talk a lot of shit like Taylor Swift, first year in the NFL, she wins a Super Bowl, she's probably gonna get 2. Ev just waltzes into unnecessary roughness, not even been a full year yet, and this man not only wins the preseason predictions, he also just wins a national title. What an asshole.
And I would also like to announce that tonight, Wednesday, January of Pumpkins, is Big Ev's last show with us. He is moving on. Unfortunately, he will not be back. Something about picking Mississippi State as the worst team, and he can go fuck himself. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. But Big Ev, we're gonna miss you.
It was a blast. One and done. Going out blazing saddles, national champion, ball knower, winner. That's how we end. Went out a champion. It was great. It was a hell of a run. Great run.
We'll all be back next week for our live chat. Probably won't be on Wednesday. It'll probably be on Monday or Tuesday as we get into our off-season groove. I had to do the Kayce race last night. That's why we didn't do it last night.
Brandon, the photo that you posted where I said you've never looked better, that's the most dejected I've ever seen you look at work, and I've seen you look mighty dejected.
You've heard some of the things that went on last night, right?
Oh no! Oh, I know all of the things, and I don't know how you didn't leave early.
I looked the game record. I know nothing. Like 0.0.
When I tell you that you are going to be in awe of some of the things that happened, like I truly, it's jaw dropping.
All right.
I'm ashamed of some of you men. Okay. Ashamed.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week. That's Unnecessary Roughness.
Brandon and I were good boys.
Hold on. Make it stop.